Landrover Discovery in for an oil cooler, and look at the absolute fucking shitstorm you need to do to get to it. It sits in there, and look at the huge puddle of oil. So recently done a coolant junction on this, which sits around here because they leak coolant, and then did a rocker cover gasket on it, because if you didn't know, the rocker cover gaskets on these are part of the inlet manifold, so you can see that side, and they're plastic. So what happens over time is when it's creating boost and just running under pressure, eventually the plastic seams crack on those manifolds and you have to replace them. I've seen people talk about doing them every like 80,000 Ks, and they are not a quick easy job. They are, as you can see, a bit of a shitstorm to get it apart, just to change the entire manifold, and obviously the cost of the manifold as well is not the cheapest thing in the world. But yes, I finally pulled it apart to change the oil cooler, and the problem was when those manifolds leak, they spray oil over the engine bay, and so you replace it to fix the oil leak. And in this case, what the problem was, it was spraying oil everywhere, so it looked like it was all coming from the manifold. So I've put the new manifold in it, and it's been running, and now we're finding that the oil cooler itself that sits in the valley is also leaking, also a common thing, and you have to have the rocker cover off to get the oil cooler up. So I've had to pull it all apart again just to get to this oil cooler, but we are finally there. We're in the valley, and I just want to show you how much of a shitstorm it is to actually get to it. So that is the old oil cooler. There is the new oil cooler and some injector seals and copper washers as well. But yes, to get to the rocker cover bolts, you have to undo half of the timing cover and flex it forward, because some of the rocker cover bolts sit underneath the timing cover. And also that is a very deep pool of oil from the oil cooler. Let's see if I've got something. Here's a screwdriver. Can you see how deep that is? It's my entire screwdriver. Very nice Land Rover. So I'm going to clean this all up and probably use an entire 20 kilo bag of rags to clean all that, and then sit the new oil cooler in and start putting it back together. So cleaned it all up. That is the new oil cooler sitting in there. And obviously the rocker cover / manifold is back on. You can tell that that's nice and fresh as well. I will show you why the original oil coolers are very susceptible to leaking in the valley, and why they are shit. Thank you, Land Rover, for putting it in a shit spot as well. But these O-rings, there's usually an O-ring there. You got 3 that usually sit there. You can see that one is as flat as a pancake. I was going to say something that was going to be very inappropriate, but it's as flat as a pancake, and they leak into that valley, which catches litres and litres of oil, and then it eventually just slowly burns off and gives you a very shit smell and smoke from the engine bay. So, yep, tidied it all up. That is obviously a nice fresh new one with new O-rings all bolted down nice. That is the rocker cover manifold all bolted down tight. So now we're just going to continue to piece this headache of a puzzle back together, and then kick it in the guts, and should be good to go. Just put it all together and just cranked it up, get the fuel up, start up, no worries. Everything sounds very nice, very smooth. Engine isn't even moving at all. Very nice and smooth. That means everything is running nice. So far no leaks, we're just got to let it warm up so we can bleed the coolant. But that is pretty much it. And if we look down in the valley, it's all nice and dry. It's not filled with oil anymore, and the coolant all looks good. No leaks anywhere, which is a very good start. So yeah, very common for these rocker covers and manifolds to crack at the seams, just because they're plastic and getting hot and cold all the time and being under boost all the time, they do eventually crack. Also very common for the oil cooler down in the valley to leak as well, because the O-rings get flattened over time. And also there is a coolant junction just underneath that throttle body there that is also common to leak as well. So if you have one of these Land Rovers with this motor and any one of these parts is leaking and needs to be replaced, it is worth considering doing all of them. Obviously it's not the cheapest exercise, but if you want longevity and reliability, replace this rocker cover or / manifold, replace the oil cooler down in the valley, and replace that coolant junction under there, because you're going to have it all apart anyway. You might as well replace it and do the job once. Everything looks nice and dry and everything is working good. I am a very happy man. So I'm going to continue to let this warm up until it gets up to 10, take for a run around the block, and then make sure that there are still no leaks and that the coolant system is bled. And then if that's all good, then the customer can have his car back. So if you have a Land Rover with this TDV6 engine and you have any one of those leaks and you have any one of those problems, one of those parts that's leaking, let me know. I can sort it out, and then we can just bring your engine back to life and just maintain that reliability. It's a bit of a decent job if you've never done one, and if you're too worried that you are not going to be able to do the job, let me know and I'll sort you out. See you in the next